And hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's keeping well. And in this latest episode we crack on with this iconic Renault 5 GT Turbo. For all those that are new here, welcome. I hope you take the time to check out all the previous episodes on this iconic classic. I'll leave the link in the description so you can click on that and hopefully it should take you straight to them and get you caught up. In the last episode, you recall we started a bit of a list and I think we ticked a couple of things off, but we didn't get very far. In this episode, I'm hoping to get to the bottom, or as far to the bottom as possible. So just as a general recap, what did the list look like? So you can see here, brake discs, shock absorbers, fuel cradle pump filter assembly, and the list goes further on: handbrake cables, battery trays, engine hoses. So I think what we'll do is we'll just crack on and see how far we get. Right, so in the last video you'll remember that we had a problem with this caliper bolting hole or mounting hole. If you remember, we had to stop doing work on this because of the unfortunate case where somebody had drilled out and helicoiled this quite poorly. Now, a helicoil is essentially comes in one of these little kits here, and for those that's interested, I'll show you what the helicoil actually looks like. I'll just get it out of the bag. So it's one of these. It's a tiny little, all I can say is a coil. It's like a coil spring. It's like a thread. Essentially, what happens is that obviously if the hole or the original threads are damaged, what you can do is you can drill it out using the supplied drill bit, which is of a particular size for this helicoil, because obviously they are matched. And then what you do is you get with a special tool which comes in the kit, which is here, which is this fella. You put the helicoil on the end of it and then you wind it in. Essentially, sorry, missed a step. What you then do is you cut the thread with this special oversized particular sort of tap. So drill it out, tap it with this, and then you've got the thread, a new thread in there, and then you put the special helicoil in. Now the size of this is a M12 by 1.75, so the 1.75 is the thread pitch, and the idea is, as I say, once this is drilled and tapped to the right size, then you can wind this into the hole. So that's what we're going to do now. Now this has already been drilled and tapped, let's say, but it's poor. I think it was tapped to the 1.75 thread pitch, which is why I've bought this kit, which is specifically for that size. It's 50, so you can see on there M12 by 1.75. Obviously the tap size is different to 1.75, but ultimately once the helicoil goes in, that then becomes M12 by 1.75. So this has already been drilled out, so all I'm going to do is re-tap it, or try to re-tap it with the supplied tap, and hopefully that should just clean that up, and then I can just wind in the helicoil. Obviously I'm missing a step out here, because normally what you do is you drill it out first and then tap it, but we'll just give it a go. So what I've got here is obviously the handle for the tap. I'm just going to drop that on there, and I'm going to just drop a little bit of cutting fluid in. Now I haven't got any cutting fluid, but we just generally for this job I'll just use a little bit of WD-40, and that's going to gently see if I can pick up the existing thread until it sort of bites, and it's just biting there, and then just gently using sort of tiny turns. You can feel it when it goes tight. You just want to cut it just a touch and then back off, and the backing off allows the threads to be cleaned, or the cut thread to pull the swarf out, and you just keep doing that. Now that's cutting okay. You can feel there's a bit of resistance on there, and you can see some of the swarf coming out, so you just keep cutting, backing it off, cutting, backing it off, until hopefully you're all the way through. Okay, so you grab the special tool, which is this here. You see it's got the slot in it. What you tend to do now is you get a little collet, I guess, which you need to attach. There's a little grub screw there. Ultimately what you do is, you see the little tag here, that goes in the groove of the helicoil. Push it all the way to the bottom and then just butt up with the collet, tighten it up, and now gently just start to sort of just pick up the thread and just see if you can just wind it in. See it going in? And what you essentially want to do is just wind it in till it's flush with there, which it just about is, a bit more. That's almost perfect, I think. Yeah, so you can see there. That's flush, that's gone in. Okay, so let's try bolt. Brand new bolt, 10.9 high tensile, so that's what the number on there is, 10.9 high tensile. So hopefully, if we've got this right, that should go in there and screw in, which it does. Right, I'm happy with that there now, but what I need to do is obviously to allow the bolt to go all the way through. If you remember that little tag, we need to break that off. So in the kit, you get this too here. It's a little punch, and essentially what you do is you just push it in there, tap it, and hopefully it breaks the tag at the back. So let's do that. And there we have it. All I've done is I've just trimmed off the excess that had pushed through, which seems to have worked okay. So I think now the grand test is we've got this bolt in. You can see there that's screwing through nicely. Right, that job off the list. Now that that helicoil's sorted out, let's get this lot onto the car like what we should have done in the last episode. That's it, back together, and you can see here that's sliding nicely now. Excellent. Right, let's crack on with the next job. It's a job I've been putting off for a while. Not the nicest of jobs, but safety critical nonetheless. So it is brake lines. So here we are. This is what we've got. So normally people would make their own brake lines out of copper plumbing tube and then flare the ends and put your own fittings on. Job done. We've gone a little bit further actually. I think we've gone upmarket, let's say, and what we've got is these, and these are Cupro nickel pipes. And you think, well, what's the difference? Well, much tougher against corrosion. In fact, I'm not quite sure where they actually do corrode. Harder wall, sort of thicker, and bend and comply easier as well when you're actually sort of manipulating them into the shape that you need. So well worthy of investment, these. Good thing about this set, it's all pre-made, cut to length, made to measure, and it's identifying each pipe length by this little diagram here. So what have we got here? Okay, so we've got the rear brake compensator. So what this little device does is when the car's laden, or it's got some people in it, or I don't know, whatever you're carrying around in the boot, this applies greater braking force effort to the rear calipers and discs, hopefully to help you slow down a bit. It's all governed by this tension spring which connects to the rear axle. I'll show you how that goes on. So that's new, that's new. Obviously we've got our brake lines. We've then got some flexes that join some of these bits together on the rear axle. I've got the little cover plate that protects the rear compensator. Some brake clips that hold these lines in on the axle and stop them moving backwards and forwards, because that's an MOT failure. And lastly, just to make the job as neat as possible, I bought myself these deluxe bending pliers. I'm not quite sure how they're going to work out. I've never used them before, but we're going to give it a go. So I think we'll just crack on, and we'll start probably getting the compensator on. You can see the rear compensator is just put on just nice and loose, just for the time being, just so I can get everything measured up. But I think the next thing we'll do is we'll just get these flexies on, and all they'll do is I'll just position them there now for temporarily. I'm sure that's how they go. And here you'll see me bending this Cupro nickel pipework around the rear beam. And you'll be thinking, well, why is he doing it by hand? He's bought a special tool. Well, in all honesty, I found this stuff reasonably compliant. It just seemed to sort of ebb and flow in and around all the various shapes required. Once you've got the initial clips, you know, in place, you can sort of map out the routing of the pipework and just gently persuade it into its position. But yeah, altogether, I found it reasonably easy. And here we are, onto doing the last pipe brake line to go to the front. The issue is, this end isn't the right fitting for in there. What you normally have, there's two larger ones on these two ports, and there's two smaller ones on the two rear ports. So unfortunately that's no good, so I'm going to have to chop this off and try and flare the end the same so I can get a new fitting on there. Now I've probably got the old one, so I'll see if that actually works, but there's always issues. And there we have it, saved the day. Found an old fitting, and yeah, I've just flared the end, so hopefully we can get this one on now. Something I've just noticed, and it's yeah, I've messed up. If you remember that other brake line that I had to chop the fitting off and put a smaller one on, well, I think what's happened is I've got these pipes the wrong way around. This should have been the one, obviously the bigger end should have gone into the bigger port in the brake compensator, yeah, and the smaller end would go up towards the servo. But yeah, so now basically I'm going to have to chop this one off and put the smaller one back on. So yeah, great, isn't it? I thought while I'm on, I may as well show you how I sort of replace these fittings on here. So basically you just cut the end off with this pipe cutter. It's just like it's a wheel cutter. Push it in there, and then there's a wheel on there that obviously cuts through the brake pipe. Once you've done that, you can slide that off. You can slide your new fitting on. Always important to do that. The other thing really you should do is make sure you deburr this end. So actually on this pipe cutter you've got this little deburring end. So basically you just scrape it around the middle of the hole just to take off any of the sharps. Hopefully give it a tap off, which is fine. Make sure you don't lose the fitting. Okay, and then the next stage is you use this tool. So you can see here, well, there's two parts to it. There's that bit and this bit. And essentially, yeah, this grabs hold of the pipe, and then this is the actual sort of the piston or the press, and it's got a little die in the end for the right shape to do your end. So that goes into the middle of the pipe, and essentially it squeezes it and squashes it into the shape of this. Yeah, that's the mushroom sort of shape in there. So squash your pipe into here, just leave it just slightly protruding out of the end, which I think it is. Clamp it down, lock it, and just wind the piston in. Take it back out. Slide it clear. Let's undo it. And ta-da! Just like that. You can see there, mushroom shaped end, and then that obviously now fits nicely to the chamfer, or the same profile of the chamfer actually on the fitting. Smashing. And now we've got that little mishap out of the way, we can get the rest of the brake lines clipped in and finished off. Working inside the engine bay now, which is another milestone. That actually works standing up, which is a novelty. Yeah, you can just about see there's the master cylinder and the brake servo. So what I need to do now is just clear some of this pipe work out of the way so I can get better access, and hopefully we can start bringing up the pipes that we've just replaced in and see if we can get them connected. So we've got much better clearance now, as you can see, and there we are. Just going to undo these pipes, take them one up, so that's one off. See, that's where I cut it underneath. And then I'll just undo this one here. And then what we can do is try and feed through the two new ones, bend it into shape, and then attach them. Or at least that's the theory. Okay, these two rear pipe lines to the compensator are just about there, so I'm just finishing off tightening them up, and then hopefully we can get on to do the fronts. That's it, that's the brand new brake lines all done. Right, and on with the fuel lines. So we've got the regulator, which you can see just up here. This is the return, so that's to the bottom of it, and then this is the flow. So I think what we'll do is, you can just see that clip there. We'll just cut this these flexes back, join them on, and then we'll just run the new fuel lines in all the clips all the way to the back, and then we'll just leave them loose there until we start to reassemble the fuel tank assembly. Right, same again, Cooper nickel fuel hose or pipe. It's much thicker than the brake lines, but it still bends relatively easy by hand as well, so as long as you don't overly kink it, then it should be okay. And here you see me just bending the Cooper nickel fuel pipe using the same routing as the brake pipes and clipping it into the new clips we fitted previously, keeping it all nice and straight, making sure nothing's kinked, and hopefully we can get it attached to the fuel pump. There we have it, some wonderful progress. All right, the brake lines is on, reasonably neat. Oh, nice new refurbished calipers, all the rear beams sort of roughly put together. I think, you know, I might have to go and tighten these unions up. We've got the rear compensator spring to go on, we'll do that in a bit, but ultimately, there we are. All new Cooper nickel brake lines and fuel lines. Fuel tank, what does that look like? Well, you've seen it earlier on. Here we are. I mentioned Medusa's hair because of all of these snakes hanging about. Having a quick thought, just before we do this, I think I'll get these vent pipes located on, because yeah, I'm not sure once the tank's up I'm going to be able to get to these ports here. So what we'll do is we'll just, I mean, it looks like, you know, that obviously does go on there. Yeah, that seems to fit nicely. That one goes into there, so I'll get that tightened on, and then this other raft of pipes from the filler neck, the long one, looks like that goes onto here, so I'll get that plumbed on. Then there's one here, and there's some little cutouts as well, you can see in the tank, to keep the pipes nice and neat, obviously as you push it up. So that one then goes onto there, and I think that's all the vent ports taken care of. Probably not going to be the easiest to get this thing in, but the vent pipes is on now, so I think it's a case of just sliding it above the rear beam. But yeah, let's see if we can get this bolt in. The problem with these tanks is the over time, in age, they sort of swell and move. So when you take the bolts out, the tank sort of springs out of shape. So getting them back in is a bit of a pain. That's why I've decided to put some bolts, some through bolts in an elongated hole, so it allows the tank sort of to move about a bit. But anyway, that's the theory. I'll just see how far I get with it. It's just about going in. It's not ideal. I feel a little bit tight, but it's going in all right there now. See another one here. So just about got a thread on it. That's it. That's going in okay. You can see it's slightly offset in the hole because the tank just wants to twist and be a right pain. And then there's another one. I think there's another one. Yeah, here. You can see that one there. If this goes in, it'll be a miracle. Oh yes, it's going in really easy. Wow, been lucky there. Okay, then there's another one in this corner, so I'll just tighten them up. Look at that, all done, and I think we're pretty much there now. So these vent pipes are routed through the best I can sort of put them, I think, nice and neatly. They're not squashed anywhere. I think we're in the position now where we can put this reserve tank on. So if you remember, we put a nice new shiny bracket on for the reserve tank pump. We've also got a fantastic new strap, fuel tank strap, tank strap that goes on here, goes around here as you can see, and then we attach it actually onto this sort of leg. So I think we'll get that on with a nice new Jubilee clip. And when I say Jubilee, these are the proper authentic Jubilees. We call these Jubilee clips, don't we? But yeah, these are the real deal. Quite expensive, I recall. So I'll get these opened up, dropped onto there, and we'll get the fuel tank, reserve fuel tank, connected up as well. So getting through all the little bits and pieces out the pile, if you remember, we've got this rear brake compensator tension spring, and you can see here it connects up to that hook on there and then runs through the compensator hole here, and then obviously you adjust it on that nut in there. This will all have to be set up, but for now what we'll do is let's just get it on. Yeah, there we go. So that's on there. Just how that goes. Obviously this thing comes off, you know, when we're done, but for now, leave it on. The last thing to go on would be this, which is just I think that just pops in there. It's just to protect this. So I'll probably just drop this on nice and loose, because this is still loose. Yeah. You might recall the fuel pump system. So this is the bracket, if you remember, that holds the fuel pump and the fuel filter. So what I've done is I've just sort of, well, I've replaced this pigtail hose on there. This fuel filter, I think I mentioned before, is a bit too big for this this bracket. I think on the car, I can't remember whether these actually should be a bit smaller, or is it the phase 2s or the phase 1s? Can't remember. But ultimately, we need to try and get this to fit. I think it's actually probably not. This isn't just the issue. I think this is a bit too big as well, because this is, if you recall, I mentioned some Bosch 044 pump. I think primarily used on the Cosworths, on the Sierra Cosworths. So I've replaced the hosing, etc. on here. I'm going to get this pushed into the location just behind the fuel tank, or in front of it. And then we're going to try and see if we can just squeeze it in, hopefully without it touching everything, and it'll be safe. And then we can get our two hoses, the flow and returns, as you can just see here dangling, get them hooked up, and then that is the fuel system pretty much complete, apart from plugging it in. So let's crack on with that. And here we have it, one complete fuel system. And this was hard work, basically just because I'm hunched up underneath with very little space. But here we are, and because we're professional, we've put some extra clips on as well, just to secure this fuel line. What a mammoth task that was, but it's done. That's the fuel system, the brake system, all renewed, brand new. Just needs a few little adjustments, but hey, majority of it's done. So, what's left? Let's have a look at the pile. And here we are. Continuing to work underneath the car, I think we've got handbrake cables. So let's grab them and get them shoved on. Should be a relatively simple and straightforward task, easy is. But just to explain how these fit, there's one of the cables here. It slides through the rear beam. You can see there's a hole all the way through, pops out a hole in the other side, and then you've got this bit here, goes into the caliper body and this hole, and then you've got the end of the cable goes into the handbrake mechanism again on the caliper. On the opposite side, you've got this cam system here and another end that just pushes into there, hooks on, you tighten it all up, and hopefully that's that, as simple as that. So we'll crack on, we'll get this one done, and then we'll get the other one done as well. Ready for a test? I'll pull the handbrake and you guys tell me if it moves, if it looks like it's working. Shout! Is it working? I think that's a success. Didn't think I'd get to this stage, but I think it's almost time to put an exhaust on. So, you guys haven't seen the exhaust yet, because somewhere in here there's an exhaust for this car, so I'm going to have to dig it out. Wish me luck. Finally got it out of that shed of junk, and here it is. It's a good old 1990s Scorpion exhaust. All the rage, nice and retro. Not bad condition, to be fair. It's got the obligatory over the axle stop banging you bastard 3000, and the odd scrape, etc, etc, but it's not bad. So what I intend to do is just clean up these mating joints. I'll use a wire wheel, and then we've got a fitting kit, which is here. Hopefully everything we need to get this mounted to the car. Okay, that's the exhaust nice and prepared, and all the bits, the fitting kit and components is all together. What I've decided to do is go for these type of exhaust clamps as well, because they're a lot more substantial and seal a lot better than a traditional sort of U-bolt clamp. So we're going to give these a go. Everything's ready and prepared, so let's get it on the car. And that's the exhaust system on. Doesn't she look splendid? Lots of clearance around it. It's gone okay, yeah, and I like these clamps. They're pretty good, yeah, so recommend them. Yeah. Of course, it'll need adjusting once the back bumper's on and it's run in, but ultimately, yeah, it's nice and solid. Shouldn't go anywhere. Okay, on to the next. While we're under here, we've got a couple of little odd jobs to do, just to tidy things up. You can see this thing here. This is the gear lever retention spring, or centralising spring, because otherwise what you get is just the selection rod flopping about. Clip's broken on the end here, and then it's all got a bit rusty. So we've got a brand new one here. Not quite sure whether it's genuine Renault or not. If it is, it'll have a part number. No, it isn't. It's a remanufactured one, but it looks good enough quality. So what we'll do is we'll just get this one off. Comes in brand new spring, little clip, and then a little plug that goes into the bodywork and a rubber on there. So let's get this one off. Okay, we've got that on the car, and then all we need to do now is just grab hold of the clip. Difficult with one hand, and just lock it onto there, and there we are. One gear lever return spring. And something else I've noticed that's just not acceptable is the split in this gearbox selector rod thing. There you can see, yeah, that's all nasty. So what we've got is got a brand new genuine Renault one as well. So what I think we'll do is we'll get this cut off. Yeah, you can see here, get this cut off and then get this one on. Cut it off first because I think it's easier. And while I'm on, if you don't mind and you're stuck with me this far and you're enjoying the content, please like and subscribe, because every subscription and like helps the channel grow, and if it grows I can do a bit more content. And this is going to be a right pain. Never mind. So what I'm going to try is get just a couple of screwdrivers in there and just see if I can just stretch it enough to get it across and on. Oh, that's very close. Yes, you beauty. That's it. God, that was a chew on. There we have it. Wow, that took far longer than I thought. I think we'll go for a racing red cable tie, just to keep all the stuff in. And doesn't that look much better? There we are. Nothing's getting in there. Okay. We're absolutely smashing through these jobs now, and there's not much left. Look at the pile. Brilliant. What's next? Well, I think we'll do these brake pads. Let's crack on. And a nice easy job for a change. Instead of being stuck underneath the car, bashed my head a few times, and obviously when you're follically challenged, it's yeah, every little blemish on the skin affects the aesthetic quality, let's say. So what are we going to do? Well, let's clean off the disc. Bit of brake and clutch cleaner, and then we've got the brand new pads, and this is the original fitting kit here. You'll see these anti-rattle retaining sort of bars, and then we've got these retention springs, but we're not going to bother with them because we've got a new kit here. Some anti-squeal compound, new clips, and these as well, which is brilliant. Okay, so let's get these pads on and fitted. I'm sure you've all seen pads being fitted a million times on lots of other channels. Actually, one thing to point out, obviously we've got our wonderfully refurbished calipers, and look at how easy they move now. And obviously it makes it a lot easier to install the pads, so just put him onto there, slide him into there. But before I do that, I am going to put just a bit of anti-squeal. Hopefully you can, yeah, see that. Bit of gloop. So he's on there. I've just pulled this just to hold that pad in. Get this one out. Stay. So we have the little retaining bar, and that just slides in here. That's it. And then what we want to do is we want to stop it coming out this way, so we get a little clip, which is this fella here, and then we drop it into the hole here. That's it, and that shouldn't come out. We've then got these clips, hold the pads in. Another quick clean with some brake cleaner. That's it. All done. Right, I'll crack on, do the other side. Look at this. The missus will go absolutely crazy if I don't get this in. Hailstones. This is why we've got weather forecasts. Could you not just have looked? What is it with the weather in the UK? Literally, you saw minutes ago it was absolutely chucking it down. In fact, it was hailstones. Now, sunshine, bright sunshine. Great, I'm sure he does it on purpose just to antagonise me when I need to get on and get this car finished. And on to the next bit. Well, I think the battery tray, let's get that swapped out. So, generally on Renault 5s, the battery tray often corrodes quite excessively. Normally there's a drain hole in it, that gets blocked, sits with water in it for many, many years, and you end up with this. And you can see here, this just isn't good enough. We've got lots of holes, corrosion is just generally not very nice. So we have a brand new one here with the drain hole fully intact. You can see, I mean, they're not the best of designs. In fact, that even looks like it's blocked, which is not a good start. So we'll unblock that. We've got a new retaining bracket as well to go on, and a new battery clamp as well. All courtesy of GT Turbo Spares here in the UK. So to get these out is a bit of a pain. There's two retaining bolts, so there's one here and one right in this corner here. Now, unfortunately, the thread of the rod goes through the bulkhead, and it's buried underneath the dash, underneath here. So I'm going to attempt to try and get to this. It's this one here is a real pain. This one here is not so bad. You just about get your hand under, but we'll see how far we get. But yeah, let's crack on. What I've managed to do here is just pull the dash forward a little bit off the clip. There's a little clip down the side here, and just managed to pull a little bit of the insulation out the way and get a socket on. So this is the first one. This is the easy one. Why Renault, I have no idea, but they just want to make every little job as hard as possible. Like I say, this one I can just about get to, I think. The other one, yeah, I need to be a contortionist. And when you've got aged bones like what I have, it doesn't make it very easy. So let's get this one off and then we'll try and tackle the other one. Right, that's the one nut off. I've been on with this for about half an hour now, and what I've had to do is just drop the side of this fuse box down just to get a bit more access into it. And I don't know whether you can see, but I've just managed to get a spanner onto that second nut, and yeah, I'm just trying to feel my way to try and unloosen it. I don't know whether I am or not, but maybe a ratchet spanner is probably a good idea, but there's just very little room. Oh, but we'll keep at it. There is the offending article. It's like a special nut. Yeah. Luckily it's not rusted. It came off relatively easy once I got it loose. Okay. So it looks like there's another one here, another bolt here, another bolt here. I have a feeling from memory that there's actually a nut on the inside of here, so we'll get the wing off. And then hopefully we'll be able to gain access to them two. There we are. I was right. So I'll just drop him down there. And then with any joy, we should be able to just lift this tray out. Make sure you put your nuts back on your bolts. That's the rule. Hopefully this will come out. Right, that's that out. Ooh, one manky battery tray. Remember the foam pad, I'll put that back on underneath. Right, let's get this other one replaced. And there we have it, one brand new battery tray. Doesn't she look absolutely marvellous? All the bolts is in, nice and secure. These two here are an absolute pig, never want to repeat that ever again, but it's done. And I've even reattached, there we are, the overflow, hopefully, so it shouldn't puddle water in here again. Okay, so what's next? Right, I want to have a quick look at the AEI unit. So it's the ECU of this car. A while back, pulled out a load of security kill switches. We've got some dangly wires there now that need to be reconnected, so let's have a look at that now. So here it is, the AEI unit. And if anybody wants to know what that stands for, it's an Allumage Electronique Intégrale. How do I know that? Because I've just Googled it. So there we have it. Essentially, it's just an electronic ignition control module. Basically, there's a coil in here, and it references boost pressure as well, because obviously this is a turbocharged car, and controls the spark and timing to the distributor, which is down here. The other side of it doesn't control or do anything with the fueling, because as we know, it's a carburetted car. So let's get this pulled out and I'll have a look at the wiring to it. And here's the AEI unit out of the car. So as you can see here, let's took the back off it. We've got the printed circuit board, I guess is in this bit here. We've got a coil which is attached to it, and a vacuum capsule which is referenced off the inlet manifold. Got a few connections to the bottom of it. Can't remember what they all are. I think one of them's TDC, one of them goes to the fuel pump, relay, and takes a connection off the tacho as well, the RPM gauge. Can't remember what the other one is, but ultimately this is the bit I'm interested in. You can see here there's 2 cut wires. Now this is this relay is really important because I think this loops all the power, provides the power obviously to the AI unit, and triggers the fuel pump as well. So I think these 2 are typically looped, so all I need to do is just rejoin these and hopefully put it all back together, and that should solve any starting issues. It certainly had a few issues when it came in a good few years ago, probably because of loose wiring and dodgy switches and all sorts of craziness underneath the dashboard with the wiring. So I think let's get this tidied up and back together. And there we have it. The AI is all back home. It's nice, secure holder. All the wiring's been tidied up. We've got our lovely brand new battery tray all in place. It's all had a bit of a clean, and I think yeah, we can just get the plastics put back on top. And I think we're on to the next item, which is the engine bay. An incredible milestone to actually be working in the engine bay and thinking about what things look like for a change, instead of repairing stuff, rusty stuff, you know, for months and months and months. But here we are. So what are we going to do? We're going to need to get rid of these horrible, cheap and nasty red Chinesium coolant hoses. They're just, you know, after we've spent thousands and thousands of the King's English pounds on this car, these just won't do. So you've seen before, we've got a brand new set of quality cooling hoses, and these are by Samco Sport. I'm pretty sure most of you will have heard of this company. You know, on the 5GT Turbo, as you can see, there's a huge amount of coolant pipes snaking around the engine bay. So we need to get these off, get them on, and hopefully this should really start to look nice. Thought it was time I'll get the radiator and fan assembled and get this dropped into the engine bay. But firstly, I need to attach the fan to the radiator. Now this is a non-genuine radiator and a non-genuine fan, but ultimately probably more reliable than the original stuff. All I'm going to do is just drop the fan on almost central towards the top, where we've got more room because there's loads of pipes and things floating around at the base of where the radiator fits into the actual engine bay. And then we've got this little fitting kit here. You might have seen these before. So there's some tension springs. These poke through the fins in the radiator, and then you've got some little sticky pads as well to attach to these little lugs on this fan, which is here. Little sticky pads, just foam pads, they go on there just to protect the surface of the radiator when you mount it. You drop that onto there. You'll stick these plastic things through the fins in the radiator. They come out of the hole in the lug, and then you've got some tension springs, which are these, which sit on here like so, and then you've got a little I don't know what you call that, like a retainer washer. It's a bit like acts like a cable tie, I guess. You push that down and it locks in against this sort of serrated, jagged edge of these things. So I'll get that done, and then we'll get it loaded into the car. We're down to the last two main coolant hoses now. The eagle-eyed amongst you earlier on might have gone, well, there was loads of other blue ones left. Oh, well, yes. This engine's had some slight modification where we're not actually using the network of pipes that actually heat the base of the carb. Basically, there's a couple of pipes down in there that run through the circuit and allow hot water to run through there in really cold conditions. This is a fair weather summer car. It's never going to see the depths of winter, or it shouldn't do. And even if it does, it won't be too much of an issue. So I've took them out. The odd one or two other hoses, I've no idea where they actually go. I don't even think they belong to this type of car, but I could be mistaken. But anyway, we've got most of them on. We're down to the last two. So these are the two main coolant hoses. And Renault, in their wisdom, have obviously made it as difficult as possible to get these in as well. From past experience, this is the one that goes to the bottom of the radiator, so I'm going to get that in first, so it comes off the water pump, bottom of the radiator. I'm going to chuck it in here. Here's our lovely new aluminium radiator. Bungs as well. See, them rubber bungs. They're like locating rubber dowels that go into the subframe. Often get missed. That's it. Radiator's in. Located in. Got room for the fan. Just about. And then I just need to make sure I've got the wiring. So I've got the fan switch wiring here and the power to the fan. And it's down there, so I can get access to that, which is great. Right, that's that hose tightened up, and now we've got the fan switch plug, so we'll drop him in. There we are, clunk, click. And lastly, big main hose. Probably the easiest of the lot. He says, should be missing a clip, so I'll get a clip. You'll notice here, that's the thermostat, goes into this hose and then just pushes into the water pump, just in case you ever do one of these. And while we're on, why don't we just pop the air filter on as well? So we've got a nice ram air induction kit. We'll chuck him down there. And get it tightened on. Yeah, that seems to fit quite nice. And there we are, ladies and gentlemen, 98% complete engine bay. I think you'll agree it looks a million times better with all these nice, you know, quality cooling and breathing hoses. Much better than the Chinese things that were on before, but unfortunately we've still got this offensive, horrible thing here. If anybody's got a spare blue Samco in that shape, please drop a message. We'll have that off here. It'll be greatly appreciated. Ultimately, it's not 100% complete yet. We still need some bits and pieces, some odd tidying up, but yeah, Really, really pleased with that. I think that's it for this episode. I think you'll all agree, ladies and gentlemen, we've got through a huge amount of work on this car. In fact, let's have a look at the list and see where we've got up to. So, brake discs, yes. Shock absorbers, yes. Fuel cradle and pump and filter assembly, absolutely. Brake and fuel lines, yes we did. Brake and fuel clips, we did them. Handbrake cables, we've plopped them on. Fuel tank and hoses, the Medusa's hair, you saw me doing all of that. The rear brake compensator, the painful battery tray installation, and finally we've done them engine hoses. So where does that leave us? Well, engine and oil and coolant, some odds and sods. Oh, the exhaust actually we did. We're getting very, very close to this. So, leaving it there. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one. Please like and subscribe. And then, in fact, the next episode, I think, yeah, we're going to get this started. Take care. Bye-bye.